Tonight on the Pageant Cast, we have the fabulous Misti Raman. She's Mrs. Galaxy International 2013. Today on the Pageant Cast.
Welcome to the Pageant Cast, your home for beauty pageant news and interviews on the internet.
Hi, I'm Whitney Miller, Miss United States 2012, and you are watching the Pageant Cast, the internet's first podcast about beauty pageants. Here's your host, Tim Kretschmann.
Welcome to the Pageant Cast. We are so excited today. We have Misti Raman. She's Mrs. Galaxy International 2013 on the phone with us today, and she is an absolute vision of loveliness here today. Misti, how are you doing?
We're doing fabulous here in South Carolina. How are you, Tim?
Fantastic. We've had a few technical difficulties, so hopefully this recording is going to work, because you're an extremely interesting guest, and I'm so glad that if I had to interview somebody twice, I'm glad it's you, Misti, because you're just wonderful to get to know.
Well, I had a fabulous time last time. I hate that we didn't get video feed on it, but I am just delighted to come back with you tonight and join you again.
Well, thank you so much. Now, where are we calling you tonight?
Well, I'm actually at my home. It's about 8:30, 8:20 here this evening, but I'm at home. I've worked all day. I'm a dentist, and so I've already put in a full day's work, and now I'm home. We've had dinner with my children, and I've got the pleasure of spending the rest of my evening with you.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much, Misti. Now, you mentioned that you're a dentist, so tell me, do people always, when you smile as a dentist, do people like sit there and kind of grab the ends of your lips and look you over like you're a horse or something? Or do you find people staring at your teeth?
I do. I get lots of compliments on my teeth. You know, my husband and I lived next to a landscaper when we lived in Charleston, South Carolina, beautiful city, by the way, who never manicured his lawn. And I always said, please promise me that when we become professionals that we won't be that. You need to be, you know, your best salesman, you know, and having beautiful teeth is par for the course. And so I want people to notice my teeth. That's what I do for a living, and I'm proud of that. So
it's funny you say that, because that's one of my favorite sayings, the plumber with the leaky pipes. But I have
so
to
true.
See, I wish you wouldn't say that, because I'm a guy that works on computers all day long, and I come home and I work on computers, and yet everything else in my house goes on the back burner. It's just ridiculous. Now, I'm sure a lot of your patients are nervous because you're a dentist, and that's what I am when I'm there. How do you put your patients at ease?
Well, I treat every patient like their family. I mean, truthfully, Tim, I feel very honored that my patients have driven past a half dozen other good dentists who are colleagues of mine just to get to me. And so I'm very blessed, feel very blessed that they've chosen me to do their dentistry. So the least that I can do for them once they make it to my office is let them know how much I appreciate them choosing me, and to make them feel very welcome and at home while they're there. We make fresh baked cookies for our patients. We have Otis Spunkmeyer muffins. We have fresh coffee. Whatever we can do to make the environment feel a little bit more like home and a little bit more welcoming, we try to provide that for our patients. And because we realize what a scary thing it can be coming to the dentist. It's very invasive. And we realize a lot of people bring baggage from their childhood and a lot of fear from their childhood, past experiences to our office, and we want to put them at ease, if at all possible.
My dentist never makes me cookies. What's going on here?
We actually have the Otis Spunkmeyer cookie oven at my office, so every morning and at lunchtime we'll make a second batch, but you can smell it pumping through the office, that oven cooking chocolate cookies. It's wonderful.
What are some of your, I use the term pageants. What are some of the past pageants that you competed in before coming to Galaxy?
Oh my my goodness. Well, I competed in pageantry years ago for about 10 years straight and was blessed enough to have about 100 titles to my credit, won lots of pageants and lots of money for college. But I've done everything from the Peely and Peanut Festival to the Peach Festival on up to Cover Miss, some national pageants, Sunburst. I've done Miss South Carolina Teen USA. I did Junior Miss. I did America's National Teenager. It's really run the gamut. As you can imagine, 10 years of just nonstop hitting it hard. I've done a little bit of everything.
Now, what is the story with all the food products that I heard you list as titles between peanuts and peaches? And did you ever have a Miss Cookie? Just wondering.
You know what? Now that I bake my own cookies at my office, I'm very much an advocate of that title. I have not found that yet, but but if you hear about that, do let me know.
You know,
but no, I don't know. Maybe it's something about being down south where pageants are very big to begin with.
Yeah.
But we do, and our festival pageants are huge, believe it or not. But
right.
We have peanut, watermelon, peach. I mean, we have collard festival pageant. I mean, and they're big pageants. These aren't just some backwoods, somebody's practicing, doing this pageant out in the barn. I mean, it's a big deal down here.
What really got you started? Was it money for college, or you enjoyed the gowns, or what was it?
Well, yes. I got voted into my high school pageant, which is what really kicked things off with that 10-year sequence of doing pageantry. Mm-hmm. But, I've joked about this before. I really think I came out of the womb jeweled and bedazzled. I mean, I love dressing up. The bigger the earrings, the bigger the stones, the more glitz, the more I'm there. So I love that. I love dressing up. And so, yeah, that's part of it for me. But it all kind of started whenever I got voted into my high school pageant.
Okay. Now, I'm looking behind you, and I see some photos of yourself, some in swimsuit. But
yes.
What are those round things? Is that a coconut I see behind you, or what is that?
Yeah, well, I mean, oh my God, yeah, my house. No, those are little topiaries. They're They're dried flowers actually that are applied to something up underneath them. I don't know, but they're dried arrangements. These are. Yeah. And yes, those are swimsuit pictures in front. So.
Well, and I should ask you, of all the different sections of the pageant, the phases of competition. When we spoke earlier, you mentioned that swimsuit was your favorite phase of competition. Why swimsuit, Misty?
Well, because, health and well-being, fitness are a part of my everyday life. So it just so happens that part comes easy to me because I live it. I'm not one of these girls that take 6 months. I join a gym for 6 months and I get ready for the pageant. Mm-hmm. Specifically for that part of the competition. It's the way I live. And I'm quite proud of that, especially now given that I have 2 children whom I'm a role model for. And I want them to see that and live it as well. And so it's important, even in my practice day to day, to be healthy because I preach that to my patients and what they eat and how that affects their teeth. And it's multifactorial, but it is my favorite phase of competition just because it's how I live. It takes very little in that regard for me to get ready for a pageant because I stay within just, such close reach of my, my pageant competition body.
Fantastic. Hey, we're going to take a quick break, and I promise when we come back, we'll actually talk about pageants just a little bit. We're speaking to Misti Raman. She's Mrs. Galaxy International 2013, as any fool can notice because she has it right on her shoulder, and somehow I missed before. So congratulations again. We'll be right back with more here on the Pageant Cast. We just got word that the Pageant Cast will be at the America's Super Pageants this June in Montana. You can check out their website at americasuperpageant.com. They have divisions for preteen, teen, Miss, Ms., Mrs., Classic, and Queen, and International. To tell us more about this pageant, we've enlisted the help of Stephanie McGrain. She is International Super Ms. 2012-2013.
Thanks, Tim. And we are so excited to have you join us this year. Our ladies compete in 5 different areas of competition, including photogenic, interview, little black dress platform introduction, swimsuit or athletic attire, depending on the division, and evening gown. The pageant will be held June 21st through the 23rd. Not only will you have a chance to be interviewed by the pageant cast, but there are so many activities going on that weekend that I just can't even begin to name them all. And that's why we have the website, so be sure to check it out. Applications are due by May 15th, so get cracking. I'm looking forward to seeing you there, along with Tim and the pageant cast.
Well, thanks, Stephanie. So I don't think I'm going to need an application, but you will, and I hope to see all of you out there at America's Super Pageants. It's americassuperpageant.com for more information, more than we can put in this quick announcement. We are so excited. It's going to be my first time out in Montana. Gee, I hope they have lasagna. I love my lasagna. Anyway, we're going out to America's Super Pageant. I'm going to see all of you. We're going to do lots of coverage of the event this year. If you want to be a part of a pageant that the Pageant Cast is at, this is the pageant this year. See you in June in Montana.
Hi, I'm Grayson Hodgkiss, your Miss Illinois Teen USA 2013. Wishing you Tiara Dreams.
And we're back. This is the Pageant Cast. We have Misti Raman, Mrs. Galaxy International 2013 on the line with us. Now, Misti, one of the things I need to ask you about is the Galaxy International pageants themselves. What made you pick Galaxy International? Just the glitz side of things, or was there other things that attracted you?
Well, you know, as I mentioned before, yes, Galaxy is all about glamour, and I love that. I could be me and compete in this pageant and not have to be too conservative or be something that I'm really not. And, you know, Galaxy, I don't know if you've ever been, but it's really like a big runway show where the music's loud. You're not walking across the stage and them saying, this is Misti Raman. She's 5'6" with blonde hair, blue eyes. They don't do any of that stuff. They're not reading about you. They welcome you onto the stage by saying who you are and where you're from, and that is it. You're just working it the remainder of the time. I love that. I love that. The music's loud. The audience is extremely energized. And it was different than anything I'd ever done before, and I couldn't be more excited that I actually went and won. So it's amazing.
Well, I've actually been learning internationally. We have a lot of viewers in the UK, and of course the United Kingdom brings a contingency to Galaxy International.
Oh, yeah.
And they seem to be in the UK, they're more attracted to what I would call the glamour runway style of pageant more than I would call the traditional Miss America type of approach, where they read about your platform, like you say, while you do gown. And there's nothing wrong with either one, but it appears that in the UK, that's the one that's taken off.
Yeah, I could go live in the UK. I love that. But, you know, it just so happens that my first runner-up was from the UK. She was amazing. She was just beautiful. And I love that Galaxy is so huge in the UK. I wish that we had that kind of recognition everywhere. But, and I love that. You know, the U.S. is, you know, it's been doing its thing. And like you said, it's different than it is in the U.K. But, you know, I wish this would become a trend and that we would pick this up, because I think it's way more entertaining. And it kind of breaks some of those stigmas that we have about pageantry in the U.S., you know?
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, I think this is an ongoing question that everybody has is, are pageants going to continue here in the United States? I mean, it's no question. The Miss America pageant, though they claim their ratings are up, they're nowhere near where they were at its peak. I mean, they aren't. They're certainly better than it was right after they left Atlantic City. The second year, I think they had like 1 million viewers or 2 million viewers, and that was it. That's pretty horrible. It's gotten back from that, but it's still not gigantic. Miss Teen USA no longer on television, only on the internet. So it has been a difficult time for pageants. When folks come up to you, Misty, and they ask you about what do you think the future of pageants are in this country or internationally, you do have that international at the end of your title, because Galaxy obviously was not big enough, right? You have to be Galaxy International.
We had to attach that.
Right. But anyway, when people ask you, what's really the future of pageantry, what do you think?
You know, I worry. I don't know, because as you said, the trends don't look good. And yes, we've made a little bit of a resurgence, but not enough. And I don't know really how to take it back, because I don't know exactly where the wrong turn was. I love pageants. I mean, they've been such a critical part of my life, such a huge part of my life, that I would love to see it back the way it was, you know, in the platinum age of pageantry. I don't really know if it will ever be that again, though, truthfully.
Now, one of the things I have to ask you is, you have a very famous coach that I had the opportunity to meet one time in the past. I know he doesn't know me. He gets 1,000 people that shake his hands. But Cyrus Franks is your coach. What can you tell us about him?
Well, Cyrus happens to not only be my coach, but he's one of my very closest friends. I love him dearly, but I know him on a personal level outside of our professional relationship with pageantry. Mm-hmm. But what Cyrus has this innate ability to do, and I think it is evidenced by the many beauty queens that he has, is he's able to find that one special thing about each girl, whatever that is, and it's different with everybody, but he finds that strength and he's able to capitalize on it. And it's just this amazing ability, and he's able to put that forth on stage in interviews and capitalize on that so that the girls can bring home the crown. It's really an amazing ability that he has. It's just that thing, you know, some people just have that. Cyrus has that thing where he's able to find that.
That's fantastic. Now, what is your secret talent, or what is it about you that he latched onto?
Well, I think what, as an adult, as a Mrs. Contestant, that, you know, separated me from most of the other Mrs. Contestants was the fact that I'm a dentist or a doctor, you know, and that I'm able to somehow, and on some days I don't even know how myself, but I'm able to balance my career and my family. And that is not always an easy thing to do, to put in the kind of hours that we do at my office, and then come home and raise a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. You know, and a lot of that is done with the help of family and my wonderful husband. But, you know, at this point in my life, that's what it was for me, you know, was being a doctor.
So you've gotten through the terrible twos. What's the next big landmark for your kids?
Oh, gee, does it end at 2? It didn't feel like it. Look, my little girl, Lexi, she's 5, and she's been just this perfect child. She was the first, and that's typically how it goes. Mm-hmm. Jimmy, my 3-year-old, has broken all the rules. I mean, he's the typical boy, and we're still into that. I don't know where the bad ends and the good begins, but he's wonderful nonetheless. So, But every day is a challenge, but a great one. I wouldn't trade it for the world. It keeps me on my toes.
Well,
it's wonderful.
And since I'm a firstborn, I know all about being perfect. It is very difficult to live up to with my sibling, but I think he's finally figured out that I am perfect. It's taken some time. We're there now.
I hope he doesn't listen to this.
No,
but I'm also a firstborn, so I couldn't agree more.
Right, exactly. I don't have to worry about my brother listening to this show. My horror movie podcast he listens to very closely.
Oh, he's more into that.
Yes, that's more his speed. I have all these odd interests that come together. So let me ask you about pageantry. Pageantry is kind of a journey. What's one of the things that you've learned through your time in pageants?
Well, you know, again, going back to what we talked about with the many stigmas associated with pageantry, what I love about pageantry is what it gave to me most notably, I think, was the ability to sit down and interview. Okay, those were skills that I don't know that I could have gotten anywhere else. So,
Okay.
you know, before I went to college, you know, I had been interviewed a gazillion times. I knew me better and could sell me better than I could do just about anything else.
Okay.
So every scholarship that I interviewed for on campus, I got. It was just a certain comfort level that, you know, I wouldn't have been able to get anywhere else. When I had to get up and give speeches in my theater classes, that was easy for me. And now in my day-to-day life, although it's in my home, in my dental home at work, I interview patients every day to the tune of about 30 different people. And so, again, there's just a certain easiness that comes along with that. And I credit that to my time in pageantry. So my journey with pageantry, I think what I've taken from it the most, aside from these beautiful crowns that I just love, has been really something that is applicable in my day-to-day life. And that's the ability to sit down with ease and talk with people. And it's comfortable and it's fun. And, you know, all of that comes from what I believe to be pageantry.
Okay. Now, what type of appearances have you had as Mrs. Galaxy International this year?
Wow. Well, it started, you know, almost immediately after I won. I did a McDougal photo shoot spread with some other international queens. They were all international queens.
Mm-hmm.
That spread went into some magazines and some ads. Then, I don't know if you knew this, but I was on The Real Housewives of Atlanta. I shot that in September. That aired. Oh, it feels like it just aired, but I know it was probably back in January or February now.
Yep.
I did The Real Housewives of Atlanta. I did Wine, Dine, and Design, which is a local charity here that I modeled for, a big event where Jill Zarin, she was a Real Housewife in New York. She came down and did that event for us. I've done several local charity events where we didn't have celebrities. Over the weekend, I did a recycled runway show where all of the designers used recycled materials to make runway clothing. I had a Pepsi can gown.
I saw that.
It was amazing, 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 and actually quite comfortable, believe it or not, but my entire dress was made of recycled materials. And the theme of the runway show was Strut Your Junk. So.
Well, I saw that thing, and I do have to ask you, now, was it the plastic bottles or the aluminum cans?
Well, the bodice of the dress, which, you know, went from, around my back all the way down to the floor, was made out of a tarp. Okay, and then the designer took the grommets and cut them off of the tarp, sewed them very tight together, and the grommets from the tarp laced up the back of the gown. From my waist down were all cut out squares of Pepsi cans that the designer actually drank, and they were attached to the dress portion. And then around the bodice, or the corset portion of the dress, was 2-liter plastic bottles that were basket weaved together with tarp material to basket weave the plastic 2-liter bottle portion together. All of it recycled material, and amazing. I mean, I don't even know how I thought of it, but it was amazing, and like I said, quite comfortable. But all of the clothing there at the runway show was recycled.
Now, how heavy was that thing, though? That had to be heavy.
It was not that heavy. I mean, again, because it was aluminum.
Okay.
So, I mean, it wasn't that bad, but they did the numbers on the dress, and they said it was 30,000 calories worth of Pepsi that I was wearing.
Well, you said it wasn't that heavy, but then I look up at what you got on your head, and you probably aren't the best person to ask anymore, because that's a heavy crown.
Yes, it is. The crown was much more uncomfortable than the gown, but What do they say? Beauty is pain. You know, it's worth it. Worth every second. I got 1 year to wear this baby, and to call myself Mrs. Galaxy, I'm going to wear it whenever it calls for it. So.
And tell me, to keep up on pageants and different beauty pageants, do you check out any of the websites? Do you read any of the magazines? Well, how do you keep up with pageants?
Well, you know, for me, it's really easier to do it through social media outlets. I find that that's the easiest, most up-to-date way to do it. I have a lot of access to other beauty queens, given that, I'm at a lot of events with Cyrus, and there's lots of other queens there.
Oh, yes.
That's locally, but he's got a lot of national queens, too. But outside of that, just my events that I'm actually at and taking a part in, I find that the easiest way to do it is on the internet.
Okay, and of course, if you want to follow Misty, you can go to her Facebook page /MRS Galaxy 2013. Did I get that right?
You got it.
Yeah, I got that right. And of course, the website for Galaxy Pageants is galaxypageants.com. And I think you can type it in incorrectly in Mesopotamian without it saying pageants and just pageant. It seems like every way you type in Galaxy Pageants, it comes right up. But of course, we'll have the link in the show notes. But if you don't want to, just type it into Google. It comes right up. Not a problem at all. Well, Misty, you have been such a wonderful sport. We've had any number of technical difficulties tonight. I don't even know when I've ever had this. I think the first time I called Greece.
Oh my goodness, did you really?
Yes. We used to be an audio show, Misty, which would have broke my heart in this case. But when I called over to Greece, we still had a standard landline connection, and I don't know, international calls to Greece just didn't agree with me that day. I got that 011 in, and I got the country code, and then everything else went to heck. And I think we placed that call about 12 times, but we did get a show out of it, so...
That's what matters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Misty, I want to thank you so much. Now, one of the things we like to do at the end of our pageant cast is to do our best pageant wave. So let's see your pageant wave. I'll grade it, of course. Really? Okay, it's in there. All right, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, Misty. Really appreciate you taking the time. Any last things that you'd like to say to the viewers of the Pageant Cast?
Well, we are having a bigger and bigger audience at Galaxy every year. I would really encourage you, if you want a one-of-a-kind experience, please join us in Orlando, Florida. At the end of July, you will not regret the trip. It is a fabulous production that they put on, and the most beautiful girls in the world. I kid you not. It is a fabulous production. Come and see us.
Now, for the other young ladies that are going to be competing, Florida, July, what's your best hair care tip for them to keep the frizzies at bay?
Oh my goodness, because you know the humidity is just atrocious down in
crazy.
Florida.
Yes.
I would say get a very extra large suitcase and bring your hairstylist with you. I do not, I have, I don't know what else to say because my hair is so soft it goes completely flat, and had I not had my ace in the hole there with me, I'm telling you, I don't know what I would have done. She has all the special training with all those dehumidity hairsprays and frizz control products, not me. So I couldn't have done it without her.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Misty, and the
pleasure.
best of luck to you. I hope everything goes well. Everybody, that's Misti Raman. She's Mrs. Galaxy International 2013. Tiara Dreams.
Good night, Tim.
Good night.
Pageant Cast.